we are back to Gen V, which I'll be reviewing 2 episodes at a time. That is until the finale. The reason why is because, well, if I made a review every week that an episode came out, I would be going crazy because that would be a lot of content to put out. So this is Gen V episodes 4 and 5 review. Starting with Marie, I think Marie is a very flawed character but very intriguing, whose character development is something that I think is probably the best story point of the show. You see her raw emotions, which in my opinion make her a very likable character, but at the same time you can also understand why some people wouldn't like her, like Jordan originally didn't. But she still is a very strong lead of the series, so much so I would love to see her on The Boys, with either a guest star or maybe just a cameo, or another cameo, as she technically did cameo in Season 3. I also really like how they are developing her power set as being not just blood whips, because in the trailers that's kind of just what it seemed to be, but instead she has a very creative power that you could do multiple things with, and she definitely does it. Although I'm a little confused how she can tell how long someone has until their period, but for the most part I really like the power set that the character has. Speaking about Jordan not liking Marie, turns out he likes Marie a lot. Although I do think Marie was a little harsh to Jordan when they were arguing, as Marie said that apparently Jordan is selfish. I really don't see that or where she is getting that from, but I do think she made it up by coming clean about that Jordan was the one that took on Luke. And the fact that they hooked up I thought was very surprising. I did not see that coming, but honestly I kind of like the idea. And I like the idea that Jordan is very self-conscious because they are both they, them, she, her, and he, him. Thinking that maybe Marie would only like them as a he. But it doesn't seem like that's the case from Marie's perspective, which does make me curious as to if that means that the two of them could be more than just friends with benefits, which I do hope happens. Because they have a lot of good chemistry. Both of the actors playing Jordan have a lot of good chemistry with Marie. We also have a new character on the show, that being Tek Knight, who is a character from the comics, who only appears in episode 4, where he has a pretty big role. In the comics, he humps everything with a hole, and that stays true in this show. Although I'm a little confused, is he a soup? Because in the comics, he isn't one. However, on the show, he seems to be one, but also might just be really smart, like Sherlock Holmes. But even if he was just really smart, I don't know how he could figure out that Indira was on her period. I guess we'll find out more about the character when he goes to appear on The Boys Season 4, which the character was set up to appear on in this show. But considering he's not a superhero, like an active superhero, he might have powers, but he's not an actual superhero, I don't see him joining the 7. Or maybe he will. After all, the 7 is down to 3 people, which is kind of embarrassing. Although we already know 3 of the other members are joining: Sister Sage, Firecracker, and the new Black Noir, so we only need 1 more space. And maybe it could be Tek Knight. But probably not, considering that Vought likes to be popular, and having a character who isn't popular enough to be a superhero on the team is a little bit an odd choice for Vought. Although it could be a new low for them. Next is Kate and Andre. I put these 2 together because, well, I think both are great separately. I don't think I'm a fan of them together. They just don't have really any chemistry that isn't just friendship, in my opinion. And also the fact that Luke was Andre's best friend, and it feels like they're in a way kind of mourning together in a bit of a toxic manner. It just comes across a little off-putting. Also, I think Andre made a very bad choice going after Rufus. I'm not saying he shouldn't have tried to get after Rufus what he did to Kate and Marie, because of course he deserves it, but Rufus very clearly can mind control people. Therefore, why would Andre just go after him full force? Of course, Rufus is going to mind control him. I hope Andre does get him eventually in the series, but maybe with a better plan and strategy. Like when his back is turned, like throw a metal spike through it. Also, I wasn't expecting Kate to be a villain. That really surprised me. Maybe she's not a full villain, but she certainly was working for the villains. And even though that she very clearly showed regret about what she did, I don't think what she did could be forgiven. She erased Sam from Luke's mind. That is just outright evil. I'm not saying she can't be redeemed, but maybe not in the first season. I don't think that she's someone that can be redeemed so quickly. Especially because she knew what they were doing down there in the woods to Sam, yet didn't seem to care all that much. She seemed to only really care because she hurt her friends, and that they were mad at her. which is a pretty selfish reason as to feel regretful about your actions. But at the same time, it makes her a pretty interesting character in that right at the same time. Her powers are very ambiguous in morality, so making her an actual villain I think is a pretty cool idea. But we'll have to see where it goes. I do not want her to be redeemed. I don't want Andre to forgive her. I don't want anyone to forgive her. At least not now. She definitely, I think, has a lot of work to do before that can happen. The next character I want to talk about is my namesake, that being Sam. This character I think is pretty interesting, however, if I'm being fully honest, I didn't really buy his crush on Emma. They felt more like best friends than a romantic pairing. Not saying them against the idea of the two of them being together, it just doesn't really, in my opinion of course, go in the direction I think the show is trying to have the characters be in. His violent rages I think are really interesting, and although I know it was self-defense, I still felt really bad for that guard, especially the one that was saying that he was a single father of 2 kids. I get it was self-defense, but Sam didn't have to kill them. But that in itself is also really interesting to see that the fact that he has to combat with this violent rage that constantly is coming to his mind when he's afraid, which we did also see in the flashbacks with Luke. As for Emma, so far I think the character is pretty cool. I like she kind of gives Marie a sister, especially because she lost her actual sister. And I did like the fact that Emma can get big, although her storyline, in my opinion, kind of seems to be getting sidetracked with her mom. Instead, the focus is more on her and Sam's relationship, which, like I said, I don't dislike, but I would have liked to have seen more of the thing that was going on with Emma and her mom, which they do have passing references to it, but it's not the main focus of the character anymore. I did like the detail of the fact that her mom thought her growing really big was somehow gross, and that made Emma embarrassed to do it. Although I'm kind of confused as to why her mom thought it was gross. If I was to argue which was gross between going big or going small, I would say going small would be the gross one. Because, well, bugs. Regardless, I do hope the character does continue in that storyline and it becomes a bigger focus. Because I did miss it. It was one of my favorite storylines of the series so far. Although we're only 5 episodes in, so technically there's not much competition. And finally, our villain, Shetty, who is not just a great villain, but a very sympathetic one. Her scenes with Tek Knight were amazing, with how you saw that she was really afraid of Tek Knight, because he could tell Vought, and Vought was a very, very scary place to mess up at work. And I am also curious if she actually cares about Marie or not, because it definitely feels as if she does. She's protecting her from the woods, she's protecting her from Tek Knight, and it seems as if she kind of missed her hanging around her. It's like this surrogate mother and daughter situation, which I do think is really interesting, for a villain to feel that way for the hero. I do hope they explore that more as episodes go on. We only have 3 left, and we're already aware of Season 2 coming, which probably won't be for a year, or even over a year. But regardless, I want to see more of Shetty, because I think she is a great villain. I really hope she doesn't die, because a part of me thinks she's going to die at the end of the season, which I really, really hope isn't the case. And that's it. Like always, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!